What's up, guys, and welcome to the weekly Q&A. This week was Thanksgiving, and whether you celebrate that or not, I just wanted to take a second to thank all of you and tell you how thankful I am for you. It's been just awesome starting these Q&A videos and getting to actually interact with you a little bit every single week. So thank you for asking questions. Thank you for being a fan of the channel and watching videos and just loving Star Wars and being an awesome community of people who it's always fun to talk to you guys in the comments or on Twitter, wherever. So just thank you for that. Thank you for making this channel so much fun to work on. That's really all I have to say before going into questions, so let's get started. Our first patron question comes from the Razorvids, who asks if I think Star Wars is becoming oversaturated. I say absolutely not. This is coming from someone who reads every book, every comic issue, every short story, watches every episode of Rebels, and I cover them all extensively. And I'm not sick of Star Wars. I don't think that one movie every year is oversaturating at all, considered, like, comparing it to Marvel, who does 2 to 3. I don't think that one a year is bad. I would honestly, personally be okay with seeing 2 a year, but I'm okay with them kind of, let's see how Rogue One goes, really. I mean, that's going to be the true test to see if they can consistently do a quality movie every single year. But that's what it is. As long as they're pumping out quality entertainment, then I'm all for it. Don Boring knows the way to my heart and asked me about Biggs' upcoming appearance in Rogue One alongside Porkins, and asks if we're going to be seeing any other pilots flying around Scarif in the film's climax. I have no idea. I think it's probably likely, considering we've already seen Biggs and Porkins. I mean, we could see Wedge, we could see Garvin Drace. I think maybe we'll just see a bunch of familiar helmet patterns and designs, and they'll be thrown in as like Easter eggs. I'm not really expecting Biggs to say or do a whole lot in the movie. He might get like a, he's on me or I can't shake him, like a generic pilot thing to say. But I think the more vital roles are going to be played by new characters who likely won't survive the fight. I think it's going to be a large sacrifice of Rebel pilots to get the plans. And then, I mean, we don't see a very large force at the Battle of Yavin, probably because most of the Rebels were taken out in the Battle of Scarif. Daniel Charlin wants to know my opinion on different dimensions in the Star Wars galaxy. And that's interesting that you brought this up because the Han Solo comic just introduced a new dimension in the Star Wars galaxy. And honestly, I'm not a huge fan of it. Really what it seems like is just, I mean, it seems like another galaxy other than another dimension, but the character that talks about it talked about rifts between time and space and the folding of the fabric and like all that stuff. And I feel like the galaxy is plenty big. There's tons of planets out there that I'm sure we haven't even visited. Like, we don't need to have another dimension. Other galaxies, I can kind of get behind that. Like, I've never had a problem with the Yuuzhan Vong in Legends. I can see something different being brought in from another galaxy, but I don't know. Dimensions to me takes it like one step too far into the non-believability of it all, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, I can accept it. It doesn't matter what I think. I can accept that they exist. It's just something that I think is a little strange when the galaxy is plenty big already. Matthew Hopkins asks if I think that Lyra Air, Jin's mother, is going to die in Rogue One. Yeah, I do think that. This is just speculation. This isn't confirmation or a leak or anything. This is just what I think, because we've seen exactly one shot of her in all of the trailers. We've never heard anyone even mention her name until really Catalyst came along. So Jin is always talking about her father. We need to save my father, and no one ever mentions Lyra. So I have a feeling she will die at the beginning of the film, and as you suggested, it's going to kick it off at a dark tone. Savos asks what I think of the idea of Luke in Episode 8 fighting not with his green lightsaber, but instead using the Force almost exclusively. I think that would be a pretty cool idea. I could get behind it. I think it would be awesome to see him just like having a full command over the Force. I mean, what if he is like fighting the Knights of Ren and he just tears through all of them, but then at the end, Like, he has to use his lightsaber to fight against Kylo or Snoke. Like, it's kind of not a last-ditch effort, but it's something that he only brings out when he really, really needs to, and it's not the first thing he goes for because he just doesn't need it. That's it for patron questions. As always, if I didn't answer your question in the video, go check out Patreon on our weekly thread, and I gave you a written response there. Also, quick reminder to all patrons or anyone that wants to participate, I'm doing an exclusive live stream tomorrow at noon Eastern Time. If you want to participate in that and you aren't a patron already, just follow the link in the description. It's just $1. You get to participate in the Q&A, and we do a bunch of other stuff every week and month. There's giveaways. So it's just $1 a month, and it really helps support the channel. And to everyone that wants to hang out tomorrow, I will see you there. On to YouTube questions. Daniel S. asks who I think Emilia Clarke is going to be playing in the Han Solo film. I have no idea. I think she's likely going to be a brand new character, but there's no telling. What I'd like to see is her be a non-human, because never in any Star Wars film have we had like the main 3 characters be non-humans. They've always been human. Han, Luke, and Leia, Anakin and Obi-Wan and Padme, and now Finn, Rey, and Poe, or Kylo if you want to go with him over Poe. But either way, it's always humans. So it would be nice to see like a lead character be a non-human for once. Ed Musto wants to know if Darth Plagueis could possibly make an appearance in the Darth Maul comic that's about to come out. And yeah, it's possible. In Legends, Plagueis was still alive at this point. Maul never saw him or met him or anything. He didn't know he existed, so it depends on how closely the comic follows Maul, but it could split off and follow Sidious as well. I do hope that Plagueis makes an appearance, because anything to make the Darth Plagueis book more canon, I'm all for that. So it's kind of 50-50. I hope that it happens, but it's not a certainty by any means. They could change the canon so that Plagueis has been dead a long time and Sidious is actually following the rule of 2 this time. Ty Ryan wants to know how I feel about the lack of an opening crawl for Rogue One. I'm not upset by it, but I am a little surprised, because I know that no matter how much they market this movie, there are people that are just going to hear Star Wars, they're going to go sit down, and they're going to be like, where's Finn, where's Rey? They're not going to know that it's not Episode 8 going in. So I feel like a crawl would be, like, if they were gonna make sure there was a crawl in any movie, Rogue One would be the one to do it, because it'll provide context in an easy and expected way. They could just read exactly what's about to happen, like, this takes place before Episode 4, but say it in a more clever way, and it'll help kind of dissuade some of that confusion. So yeah, I'm surprised that there is no crawl, but I mean, to me, I know what I'm getting into going in, so it's not going to be that big a deal. Now Lopez asks what kind of stories I'd like to see told between episodes 5 and 6. Right now, I think the biggest question that needs answering is all about Luke and his training, and specifically where he got his green lightsaber. Because in Shadows of the Empire and Legends, he made it. It was a synthetic crystal, but those are no longer canon, so they need to change that story. I do like the theory that it came out of Qui-Gon's lightsaber and Obi-Wan was holding on to it, but I just think that's a story worth telling. But really, anything that involves Luke becoming more powerful, like what did he do for that year in between Empire and Jedi to like make a huge leap in his skills? Because it's a bigger leap, I'd say, than the 3 years between A New Hope and Empire. And the last question of the day comes from Bloon Ace, and I actually think that this topic needs a video of its own, but I like the question a lot, so I'm going to cover it. He asks how the Force works through mechanical limbs, like through Darth Vader's robot arms. The answer to that is that it doesn't really work through limbs. The Force is a mostly mental thing. You see Darth Vader and he does the little Force choke pinch. That's not the actual act of pinching someone. It's more, there's an actual term for this, and I don't know it, like a scientific thing, but it's helping his mind make the connection of like his intent. So it's kind of making his connection with the Force stronger. He's saying, like, I want to pinch that guy, but he doesn't need to do that. It's just like, it's a mental thing, you know, like helping him visualize putting his fingers on that guy's throat, on Mahdi's throat. But then in The Empire Strikes Back, we see him sitting in his meditation chamber. He doesn't move. His hands are just like on his knees, and he's staring at a screen. He's not even in the same room as Admiral Ozzel, but he chokes the guy because it's a mental thing. In episode 4, maybe his powers weren't, I don't know, as strong as they were in episode 5. I don't see him. I figure he can still do it without this, but at that point it was probably more for the audience to show, oh, that's Vader doing that. In episode 5, we know he has that power. He just does it. So really, it's a mental thing. Actual organic limbs are not needed to force push something, force choke someone, lift something. Every time they're using their hands, it's just to make like a mental and physical connection with their intent. That's all the time for questions I have today. Again, if you want to participate in tomorrow's live stream Q&A, it's tomorrow at noon Eastern Time. Just follow the link in the description and look into becoming a patron, see if it's for you. I'm going to post the link to the live stream on Patreon tomorrow. If you want to leave a question for next week's Q&A, you can just put that in the comments below, or again, we have a weekly thread over on Patreon. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. As always, thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you.